This is a step-by-step guide to help you solve TOEFL grammar questions. The guide is based on the most common problems that appear in the structure and written expression sections of the TOEFL test. Each guide is designed to teach you how to recognize the patterns, avoid common traps, and choose the correct answer accurately. Do not mistake an appositive for a subject. An appositive is a noun that comes before or after another noun and has the same meaning. Because an appositive is another noun, it's easy to mistake it for the subject, especially in complex sentence structures. Look at this example. Sarah, the best student in the class, is giving the lecture. In this example, Sarah is the subject of the sentence, and you can easily recognize the best student in the class as an appositive phrase because of the noun student and the commas. The sentence says that Sarah and the best student in the class are the same person. Note that if you leave out the appositive phrase, the sentence still makes sense. Does an appositive always have commas? Not always. It depends on whether the appositive is essential or non-essential to the meaning of the sentence. Look at this example. My friend Sarah is coming over. In this example, Sarah is an essential appositive because my friend is general, so we need Sarah to know which friend. However, TOEFL tends to test appositives with commas. So in the test, watch for comma placement and whether the noun phrase is the subject or the appositive in the sentence. When does an appositive appear? An appositive can appear before or after the subject, but it always gives extra information about a noun that is usually the subject. How to recognize an appositive? Ask yourself, is this noun giving more information about another noun? If I remove it, does the sentence still make sense and have a clear subject? And remember, the verb must agree with the subject, not the appositive. Look at example 1. In this example, the appositive appears after the subject, my professor. We should put an appositive in the blank for my professor and is an expert in environmental law is the correct noun phrase. Options B, C, and D are incorrect because they contain verbs, and an appositive does not need a verb. Also, the sentence already has the main verb, will give. Look at example 2. In this example, the appositive appears before the subject. The appositive gives more information about Daniel. If you remove the appositive, the sentence still makes sense. However, you should remember that the verb must agree with the subject, not the appositive. So, even though you see the plural students, it is not the subject. Daniel is the subject. So, the error in this sentence is have, because Daniel is singular, so the verb must be singular. So, the correct sentence should be, one of the top students, Daniel, has just been accepted into the graduate program. Look at example 3. When you see a sentence with commas like this, there is a chance that it's an appositive. One of the greatest physicists of all time is extra information set off by commas for the missing subject. So we need to find the missing subject that is a noun, and the verb must agree with that noun. We can eliminate option B because it contains a verb. We already have main verb was here, so we don't need another one. Option A is incorrect because that is a demonstrative pronoun, but it lacks a proper verb or context to make sense. And even if we add a verb, it will create another sentence, not an appositive. Option D is incorrect because although is a subordinating conjunction. If you start with although Marie Curie, you must follow with another clause, which will create an independent clause. But this sentence already has a complete independent clause. Option C is the correct answer. This is a clean structure. Marie Curie is a singular noun and it agrees with the singular verb was. Look at example 4. We see commas here. Remember, when we remove a non-essential appositive, the sentence should still be complete and make sense on its own. So, if we remove the appositive, the sentence becomes, Professor Adam are working on a new study about marine life. Now we have found the subject. Professor Adam is singular, so the verb must also be singular. That means the error here is are. The correct sentence should be, Professor Adam, my biology teacher and a published researcher, is working on a new study about marine life. So, when you see commas around a phrase like this, don't let it confuse you into thinking the subject is plural. Now try to solve this question.